What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. It's Friday. This is the Niner Fanatic podcast, and we're ready to get into why everyone thinks the 49ers are hated by the NFL and why the NFL feels the need to always do the 49ers dirty. But before we get to any of it, we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic podcast, and it's Friday. A lot of you are getting ready to enjoy your weekend. I would have had my show yesterday. I normally have it on Thursdays, but I couldn't because I live in Houston, and if you didn't hear, Houston had a huge storm, and I actually live like right outside of Houston and Katy. But yeah, we had no power, no internet until like 3 a.m. So it was what it was, but the whole family's safe. The house is safe. So, and big up to all my people out in Houston, because God knows, there was some damage done out there, out and about, and hopefully everybody stayed safe. But with that being said, today, and 49er faithful forever in the building. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Bang, bang, Niner game as always. But this show today is going to be about, we hear a lot of the schedule dropped for the 49ers. And we hear so much all the time about how little rest the 49ers get. We heard it all last season. And the 49ers had the least amount of rest in between games of any team in the NFL last year. And it just got worse this year. They're number one in that category again. And so it begs the question. A lot of people are asking, and a lot of fans are asking, why? Why, NFL? Like, why do they do these things to the 49ers? And, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not going to say any names, that kind of poo-poo it and kind of say, oh, the league doesn't have anything against the 49ers. It's because they want them on prime time. It's because of that kind of stuff. Okay, but there's tons of teams that are on prime time. Kansas City didn't have the number one least amount of rest. The Cowboys didn't have the number one least amount of rest. The Jets are on prime time how many times this season? And they don't have the least amount of rest. It's 2 years in a row, that's the 49ers. So it might sound like a conspiracy theory, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. But at the same time, you can only make excuses for so long. Eventually, we have to look at the situation, and anybody that's been watching my show for any amount of time knows I've said for a long time that the league cannot stand the 49ers. In the beginning, it was because the 49ers wanted to run the ball all the time and play defense. And those are the two things that this league cannot stand, is teams that run the ball and play defense. They don't want to see those teams make it far in the playoffs because it's not exciting. Chicks dig the long ball, all that stuff. And no matter winning football, but it's almost as if the league just kind of, I feel like they're just tired of seeing the 49ers do well, going against the grain of what has in the last 5 or so years been traditionally the way to succeed in the NFL, which is to pass the ball a ton and to try and try and score a bunch of points through the air. No, the 49ers done the exact opposite. They want to run the ball, they want to shorten the game, they want to play defense and be physical. And don't think that it's a coincidence that teams have such a terrible losing record against the 49ers after they play them. Don't think that doesn't come into the equation either. And we have to look at these things as, and now this is all to be said, 49ers are still going to win games. This isn't going to stop them. I'd be shocked if the 49ers don't win at the very. I think that they're going to go 12-5, but I would be shocked if they didn't at least get 11 wins this season. And I think that now that's of course barring serious injuries to main pieces, but I'd be shocked if they can stay relatively healthy if they don't get 12 wins. Now, with that being said, that don't think that the league isn't going to do, because this is the other part of it that people fail to realize. The league does not change the way it does things for a reason. And while the NBA it's a players league and they let their players basically run the league. Uh Baseball, almost the same thing. They kind of like whatever teams, there's no salary cap in baseball. You've got basketball that has a salary cap, but it's not really a hard, there's all kinds of ways to manipulate the salary cap. And it's but players just kind of come and go as they please. Not in football. They refuse to relinquish control for a couple of reasons. And I honestly, I kind of agree with the way that they do things for the most part, because I think it creates a better product. There's a reason why football overtook baseball as the number one sport in America. There's a reason why football has pretty much left the NBA in the dust. And why we're still talking about football while the NBA playoffs are going on. If the NFL had a just any game on right now, they would get more ratings than any of the NBA playoff games, and you can book it. That's not even a question. So, but when you have to look at the way that the league does things, and the reality is they want to control the parity in their league. They're all about, there's a reason why that cap stays a hard cap. It's because it does create parity. Whether people like it or not, whether people think it's fair or not, about as far as the players go and salaries, and not being able to pay people X amount of dollars for giving their whole entire bodies up for this sport, whether you like it or not, the reality, and it's the same reason why why UFC has kind of taken over, took over boxing a while ago, to be honest, is because uh, Dana White puts whoever he wants together. There is no players, there's no boxers in the UFC saying who they're going to fight and win. No, Dana White controls all that. NFL controls who's gonna get paid, who's going to get. They control everything. And to be honest, it makes for a better product, whether you like it or not. And I'm not saying that I don't want players to get as much money as they possibly can. Absolutely. But I would be remiss if I'd said that I wanted the NFL to run like the NBA or Major League Baseball. I absolutely do not. I think that it does create a much better product, whether people like it or not. So, but we're talking about the 49ers today, not the entire NFL. And when you look at the schedule and how it's laid out, it's going to be, it on paper, it looks kind of rough for the 49ers. Now, this is the thing. We always say this early on. We always say that it's going to look rough, and then you never know which teams are going to be better, which teams are going to be worse. Injuries are going to happen, and And injuries are going to happen, and things are going to completely shift. The weight is going to shift, just like I talked about parity just a few minutes ago. It's it is what it is. It happens every season. So one team falls off, another team jumps up in its place, and there's a ton of movement as far as front offices go, as far as head coaches go in the NFL, and we've got a whole new landscape. So we're looking to see what that new landscape brings. The NFC West, the NFC West, there Gannon over there in Arizona, he's building something over there, whether people want to admit it or not. I think that they did well in the draft from a personnel standpoint. Let's see what they can do with it. I still don't really believe in Kyler Murray, but the but then you've got the Seahawks, who had a pretty decent draft. They actually drafted some people that we've been wondering why they haven't for years in the interior of that defensive line, which it's going to be interesting because they got a beast of a man in Byron Young, and I think that it's going to be that is going to be a force. Now, he is a rookie. So I would be shocked if it's that big of an issue for the 49ers, but I think that they laid groundwork, and I think that their new head coach over there is building that team in his image, and we're going to see a little bit different of a Seahawks team this year. It's not going to be the same nonsense. I saw that they did re-sign Jamal Adams today to a $4 million 1 year $4 million deal, which is a far cry from what he was making before he was released. So but when we're sitting here and we're looking at this schedule, first off, make sure that you give the video a like, make sure that you give it a subscribe, make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And honestly, like, tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. And I appreciate all of you that come in and listen. And but my first question was, does the NFL really hate the Niners? I don't think they necessarily hate the 49ers. I think I know in years past that they do not like the way that the 49ers win games, but I don't think that they necessarily hate the 49ers because the 49ers come with a huge fan base and a whole lot of money that goes with that. And the 49er fan base travels well. It is in the league's best interest for the 49ers to be doing well. So I don't think they necessarily hate the 49ers, but it's a testament to the 49ers that even though they do things like they did with the schedule, that the 49ers still find a way to succeed regardless. So they can put them up against those tougher schedules and those harder matchups, and they still find a way to make it to the playoffs. They still find their fan base still finds a way to travel from place to place and become a factor in every game and help sell out those stadiums, even in places that probably wouldn't be sold out if the 49er fan base didn't travel. So do they hate the 49ers? No, they just know what the 49ers are and they know what the fan base is. So kudos once again to the faithful, because honestly, we carry in some of these teams and their stadiums. So they should be thanking us. But yeah, no, I don't think the NFL hates the 49ers. I think that they absolutely want parity, though. So they're going to make it as difficult as they can make it on paper. But like I said, the proof is in the pudding, like, because once the games start and the injuries start happening and and we just don't know what the new team and new coaching staff means for each of these teams, you don't really know how tough the schedule is. So, but I talked about the projected record. I think they're going to go 12-5, but I think their floor is 11 wins. I wanted to go game by game and talk about some of these matchups. And in the preseason, the 49ers start against the Saints. We're not talking about preseason games. I'm not going to do it. There's only two this offseason. But what are some of the players that we're looking for the 49ers to kind of showcase in this preseason? And I'm expecting a heavy dose of Pearsall, of all the rookies. I'm expecting a heavy dose. I want to see a heavy dose of Ronnie Bell. And the reason being is because I think Ronnie Bell could be on the chopping block. I mean, I expect Danny Gray not to make it. I'm surprised he's still with the team. I'll be honest with you. But I think that they're going to wait a little bit longer. And when they get through OTAs and get into minicamp, I think that it's good. If he doesn't show up and show out, like, I mean, the writing is on the wall for him because he's got a humongous mountain to climb to make this team at this point. But Ronnie Bell, I think that the 49ers do like him. And I think that the original plan was for him to be, I think the original plan was for him to eventually be the successor for Third and Jawan Jennings. And unfortunately, I love Jawan Jennings, but I don't think that they're going to pay him. And that's just my personal opinion on it. But and they might find a way to keep him in the building because who knows what the market is for Jawan Jennings, because I think most teams wouldn't have the same value for him as the 49ers, because the 49ers value physicality and they want to wear teams down with their physicality. So would he fit in another team? I think that the league is actually gonna go a little bit more looking at some of these drafts, looking at some of the offseason moves. I think that you might see the league try and go back to some more running game. There's a lot of teams that it looks like, to me, the way that their rosters are stacked up, it looks like they're trying to implement more running game. I think we're going to see more running game on some of these teams because for a few reasons. But the main reason being there really just aren't that many good quarterbacks in the league. There really aren't. And there's really not many uh, geniuses of offense in the league right now. Like you got your couple, you got your Shanny, you got your Andy Reid, and you've got a couple of guys like Bobby Slowick over there in the Texans. Did a phenomenal job with the Texans last year. But is he a genius? I don't know. I think it might be a little bit of the quarterback there and Stroud, but I will say this: there's only a few. There's only a few like really good to great quarterbacks in this league right now, and I think that in order to win games, I think teams are realizing that they've got to get back to the running game and what works, and to shorten the game, keep those quarterbacks on the sideline. Like I think that we're going to see more and more of that as we get into the season. Roberto in the building. Appreciate you coming through, fam, as always. But I'm looking at first game. First game of the season. 49ers meet up with the Jets. Now, I'm sure that the league wanted to get this game in early before Aaron Rodgers had the chance to get hurt. It is in Santa Clara, so that would just to keep. Thank God, I will say that. Thank God that it's not in their crap hole of a stadium, and to where their guys are getting like it puts our guys at risk to get injured again. The last time we were in their building, it was not a good day for the 49ers, and it snowballed into a terrible season. So I'm looking at this game as a way to kind of see where I'm looking at this one as a kind of a way to see where Brock is and where he is, because it's gonna be a very good defense they go up against, regardless. Salah knows what Shanny wants to do. Shanny knows what Salah wants to do. They've got very good defense. They've got a very good defensive squad over there. And Aaron Rodgers, the 49ers have had Aaron Rodgers' number for a few years now in the playoffs, but in the regular season, it hasn't always been that. So you got to look at this matchup as kind of a toss up. I'll be honest with you, just because we don't know what that defense for the Jets, how that's going to match up against the 49ers playmakers. And can the Jets stop the run? But also, can the 49ers stop the run? Because I really feel like that's what Salah and the Jets are going to want to do in this game. They do have some good running backs over there, but now they would have Aaron Rodgers, which is a complete change up from what they've had in the past. And if he can stay healthy, he's still a really good quarterback. Regardless of what you think of him personally or whatever, he's still a really good quarterback, I think. But we'll see what he looks like having a complete year off. And that might be the reason, just the rust from having a complete year off, that might give the 49ers a little bit of an edge. So that I am picking a win for the 49ers in that situation. After that, we go to Minnesota and play the Vikings. Now, the last time the 49ers went to Minnesota, it was not a good thing for 49ers, but they had Kirk Cousins at quarterback. Or did they? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Did they? Yeah, they did. Yeah, Kirk Cousins carved him up, if I remember correctly. So it's that game should be a winnable game. I don't care if it's in Minnesota or not. Minnesota, I don't care what anybody says. I heard some people in spaces talking last year about, oh, Minnesota had a good defense. No, they did not. No, they did not. And for you to even say that they had a good defense, no. The 49ers lost that game because they came out flat footed. And they came out, I think, expected. That was one of the first games that they didn't have Trent Williams, I believe. And yeah, it was just bad all the way around for the 49ers. But that brings up a point. Trent Williams is a little bit older now. And the 49ers did absolutely nothing to fortify the tackle position, in my opinion. So Pooney is not a tackle, the guy that they drafted. And neither is Kingston, the other guy that they drafted. So how they're going to get help at tackle, I know that they went and signed the guy from I believe his name is Hubbard, from Tennessee, but that is not enough. That is not enough. And if we have got to get through this season without Trent Williams missing a significant amount of time at all, because he's missed games every single season. So you can plan on a couple of games, but can we keep that to a minimum? Because that's going to be key. Now, with that being said, this is Brock's going into his third season. I expect him to treat it a little bit different. I'm hoping that Shanny is going to give him a little bit more leeway in how he's able to handle things at the line. If he can call his own protections, would be great. I mean, I know he wants to take that off of Brock's plate, but I think that he just needs to let go a little bit. And we've talked about that in the past as well. But I think the 49ers win that game. I think that's definitely a winnable. They should really run away in that game. The next game is against the Rams at the Rams. This is another game I think that the 49ers win initially because I don't think that the Rams are going to be ready quite yet. They had a really good draft, in my opinion. They fortified that defense, which I think is very important for them, with Aaron Donald retiring. Now, with that being said, I still don't think that they're ready on the offensive side of the ball. They did get Blake Corum, another running back, but I fully expect the 49ers to do a 180 on their run defense this year. I think that they're going to go back to not allowing a bunch of rushing yards. I think that this defense is going to play completely different and go back to the way that they played in 2022 and play much more aggressive and guys flying to the ball and a lot of gang tackling. So I don't think that teams that are trying to run the ball are going to have a lot of success against the 49ers this year. I don't care that Eric Armstead is gone. It's not that I don't care about Eric Armstead. I think that he's a great player when he's on the field, but at the same time, the 49ers have succeeded without him on the field and in the run game. So I don't see how that's going to make as big of a difference now. Chris Kasurek has gotten the best out of multiple defensive linemen for years, and we at a certain point we just have to trust in that. They got some guys that I think are going to be pretty solid. I'm really looking at Yatir Gross Matos. I think he's going to be a key piece. I think that there's a couple of guys that I see on this defensive line that I think are gonna make plays. So and they went and fortified the secondary, which I think is going to be another key. But moving on, I think they beat the Rams. Like the Patriots, I think that's a win. The Patriots are not ready. They are not ready for prime time, and it's not going to be. I don't think that's going to be a big game. You know that Jet game is it's a Monday night game. So that's gonna be a great game. But the next one after the Patriots, they play the Cardinals. Another 1 o'clock game on the West Coast, and this is gonna be an interesting game. Um, it's all about health for the Cardinals because I think the Cardinals are going to be better this season, and I like Jonathan Gannon's temperament and the way his game plan. I like it. And I would be shocked if it wasn't a close game. I think the 49ers should win this game, but it depends on how Jonathan Gannon's got his guys coming out. I could totally see this being a trap game for the 49ers. And the 49ers have swept the NFC West for the last couple of seasons, and it can't go on like that forever. Eventually teams catch up. And while I say that the 49ers are going to win 11 to 12 games, it's not going to be at the cost of the NFC West every single time. Teams have had a couple of years to build their teams back up, and this could be, I mean, the 49ers could lose a couple this year in the NFC West. Do I want them to? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you got to be realistic. And McNiner in the house, appreciate you coming through, fam. Always a pleasure. But so we're talking about the Cardinal game. I still think the 49ers squeak that game out, but I think it's a wake-up call that the NFC West is getting closer. I think the Rams game is going to be relatively close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think they win maybe by 10 points. But then they go up against the Seahawks at the Seahawks. And I still think the 49ers beat the Seahawks. I still think that they find a way. Brock Purdy, I think, is going to be the difference maker for the 49ers this season. I think he's going to do a lot of things. Full off season to get stronger, full off season to get more acclimated to the offense. And I'm going to say this right away. If Shanny comes out here with the same offense that he did last year, doesn't give Brock more leeway, doesn't give Brock an opportunity to call his predictions, doesn't give Brock an opportunity to be able to motion his guys around to create favorable matchups, they're going to lose a couple of these games because of that very reason. Shanny's going to have to let go at some point. Some of these tough games, when the 49ers look good, they look really good. But when they look bad, it looks really bad because Shanny has shown over and over again that he is unwilling to come up off of his game plan. And so that's something that I'm looking for Shanny to kind of just let go. I'm looking for him to kind of just let go of the reins. Trust in his quarterback, trust in his players to get it done. Call some simpler plays. Everything doesn't have to be a trick play. Everything doesn't have to be a 5-7 step drop. Everything doesn't have to be two useless speed motions. Everything doesn't have to be all that. Sometimes you can just call some quick game and call some just simple plays and trust in the fact that you've got better players than the other team. So that's really what I'm going to be looking for this season. I want to see Shanny kind of let go and get loose a little bit. Let Brock get loose. But I do think the 49ers beat the Seahawks in that game. That is another primetime game. The 10th. I wonder if that's I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I wonder if that's a Monday night game or if that's a Thursday, but maybe somebody knows in the chat. But then the next game after that is the one that every 49er fan has got circled on their calendar. Can the 49ers finally beat the Chiefs? Now, with this being said, it's at the 49ers crib. This is their chance to get one. They need to get one for their psyche. We talk about the 49ers just owning the Cowboys. We talk about the 49ers owning the Rams. We talk about the 49ers owning the whole NFC West. We talk about the 49ers owning Green Bay in the playoffs. We talk about all these other teams, but guess what? We cannot say that about the Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. He is the one generational quarterback in this league right now. And that seemingly can do little to no wrong. And I just look at this game as an opportunity for Shanny to go in there and get one for his guys and create a ton of just confidence. That's what they need. They need to have confidence going into this game and be aggressive and just go after him. And honestly, I don't even care if you're aggressive and you're going for it. I don't even care if you lose. I just want to see you be aggressive. I want you to just go for the win. Go for the jugular. If it doesn't work out, at least it's a regular season game. But I want to see you go for it. And that's what I want to see out of the team on that game. Kansas City that is the one thing about them. They're playing with house money every single time they go out on the field. Because even if they lose one or two, they've got Pat Mahomes. And he's gonna get them 3 or 4 wins just on the back of him being Pat Mahomes. And that's because Andy Reid has complete trust in him. He can just call plays. Pat Mahomes is gonna make something happen. Okay, well, we need to know if Brock is that type of guy. I don't know if he is. I know that he has done a ton in some of those situations. And when the play breaks down, I do have a lot of faith in Brock. I want to see how he comes out this season if he has a little bit more confidence, a little bit more moxie, a little bit more Brock. And can we get that? Can we have this? We all talk about the marriage of Shanny and Brock and how much Shanny trusts in Brock and how Brock sees the field exactly like Shanny does. Well, this is the test. This game right here. This game versus the Chiefs, and I feel like it's tomorrow, but I want to talk about it. That is going to be a key team. Hopefully both teams are healthy because I don't want any excuses. So next right after that game, they play the Cowboys. Once again in Santa Clara, but at the same time, that is because I really feel like if the 49ers put all they have into the game versus the Chiefs, before I say it, I think that the 49ers, I'm still got that 49ers game against the Chiefs as a loss just because not that I don't have faith in my team, but because until proven otherwise, the Chiefs have the 49ers number. We just have to own it. So it is what it is. But the Cowboys, Terror Dome in the house. Appreciate you, fan. Hey, make sure and I'm sorry that I didn't mention it, David. I apologize. Make sure that you check out my fellow content creators. I love my guys. Like Terror Dome in the building, always a pleasure. Pat Mahomes, he said Pat Mahomes is one of those, absolutely. But make sure you check out my guy Terror Dome's channel on YouTube. Him and Red Jet do tremendous work over there. They have a great morning show, so check my guy out. Also, check him out on Twitter and give my guy a follow if you have a chance. Also, I want to mention my guy David McNiner again. He is him and Bryant Culp do an excellent job over there on their channel, and so make sure that you check out them. They do a lot of weekend shows, and they do shows during the week as well. So make sure that you check out their channel. I think they do a lot of morning stuff as well. So make sure you check out my guys. Good 49er content, great questions, great guests. So just check out my guys. Um, oh, absolutely, bro. Always. And you're gonna have to come on soon. I love the energy last time you were on. So next time you're ready to go, you let me know. And but talking about this Cowboy game, the reason I'm kind of wary about this game is because I think the game against the Chiefs is going to be high octane. I think it's going to be high. It's going to be a lot of emotion. It's going to be a lot of emotion left on that field. And this might be a situation where the 49ers have a little bit of a letdown. But I think that they go through. I think the Cowboys are going to cowboy, and I think the 49ers do end up pulling out a win against the Cowboys. Then they have the Buccaneers next, and in Tampa Bay, and I think they run over the Tampa. I think they run over Tampa Bay. I don't have any faith in Baker Mayfield. People keep trying to make him a serviceable quarterback in people's minds, and to me, it's just not. Doesn't work out. I don't see it. I just don't think he's that good. Is he serviceable? Okay. I mean, he's good enough to be a starter in the league, and that's about it. Like, he's better than a backup. But other than that, he's not doing anything for you. So they did get Mike Evans back, but I mean, what is he giving you at this point? He's getting up there in age as well. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I don't think the Buccaneers have what it takes to beat the 49ers as long as the 49ers are healthy. But then we have the Seahawks in Santa Clara after that. That's a 1 o'clock game. And the and we and the this is the game. Even though I think the 49ers go into Seattle and beat them, this is a game I have circled as a possible loss. And because I think it could be the other game, it could be the other game first earlier in the season, but I think it's going to be the second matchup and giving Mike McDonald a second look at Shanny with his guys that I think could possibly get them a victory. So I've got it circled as a loss just because we've got in my mind, there's going to be 5 losses somewhere, and I've just got to find them. But this is one I have circled. And then the 49ers play the Packers in Lambeau. This is another 1 o'clock game. And this is another game that I think that the 49ers actually beat the Packers. And I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that when you lose like they did against the 49ers, it leaves a scar. It does leave a scar. And I think that while I think Jordan Love is a pretty decent quarterback, I think he's going to be good. He's going to get another year to prove it. His year last year was a little up and down. And I think that this is a year for him to try and prove that he's better. But I think Brock has this is the year Brock's going to prove that he's better. And I think I'm really looking at this offense as we get deeper into this season. This is where the offensive line comes into play. And can they protect Brock? If they can protect Brock and Brock can stay making something out of nothing, I don't think that the Packers can stay with the 49ers. It just depends on what the 49ers, what Shanny's game plan is. The captain in the building. Told those in my show that ended the show up there here, so hopefully they jump over. Oh, appreciate you, fam. Like always, a pleasure to have you on. It looks like a bunch of people came in. So yeah, I appreciate you, Captain. And McNiner says I have us going 13-4, losses to Rams at LA, Chiefs at Levi's, Packers at Lambeau, Dolphins at Miami. I think they're gonna beat Miami. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. I'm gonna keep going through these. But and he says, no, we haven't won in Minnesota. Yeah, I get it. At the same time, Sam Darnold is their starting quarterback right now, in my opinion. And not only that, if it's not him, then it's JJ McCarthy. So I think the 49ers defense is going to come through in this game. Even if the 49ers don't score a ton of points, I think that the defense is going to show up and show out in this game. And I know that a lot of people, and we're going to talk about Drake Greenlaw a little bit later, people are kind of iffy about our run defense and all that. I get it. I'm not iffy about it. I think that they're going to have a resurgence. I think that you've got to come over and just see it for what it is that, in my opinion, Wilkes was not a good fit for what the 49ers do. Not that he's a bad coach. He just wasn't a good fit for what the 49ers do. And I think that we're going to get back to physicality and aggressiveness. And I think that's going to keep the run game to a minimum. I think that they fortified the secondary, which is going to give us better coverage and give our defensive line some time to get to the quarterback. I just think it's going to be a little bit different this season. For sure. Yeah, like, I mean, if we can't beat Sam Darnold, then we got bigger issues. But I look at after the Packers game, we were playing the Bills in Buffalo in December. This is another game that I have circled as a possible loss. Because we haven't seen Brock Purdy in snow. I don't know if it'll be snowing December 1st in Buffalo, but if it is, it's not a good time of year. It's not a good time of year for the 49ers to be playing Buffalo. It always seems like the league puts those games in for the 49ers against these teams at this time of year. It's been Baltimore or Cleveland. They always give us teams like that at that time of year. And so but I've got this one circled as a possible loss. Not because I think that the Bills are better than the 49ers, but even though the Bills have had their number in the past, I think the Bills team is actually kind of they're lacking a lot. And I don't think that they barely made the playoffs this last season. I think that they could take another step back. But I think that they have a quarterback. And I think that quarterback could be enough to get them through in a weather game, if it is a weather game. So I've got that circled. The next game against the Bears, but it's in Santa Clara. And I think that the 49ers get revenge on the Bears from the last time they played them. And I think that the last time they played them, yeah, it was again with the last time Trey Lance was the starter, and so many errors in that game. The 49ers should have won that game, but they didn't. But I think the 49ers get revenge in this one, and I think that they beat the Bears handily. Now, it is getting towards the end of the season. Who knows how healthy both of these teams will be at that point? But if all is even and everybody's healthy, I think the 49ers win that one handily. The next game after that is the Rams in Santa Clara. I think the 49ers win that one at home. Then they're going against the Dolphins December 22nd. That's a 1:00 game. Oh, that Rams game is a primetime game. So be primetime games, anything can happen, especially when they're division games. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game, but I still think the Rams get beat. I still think there's the 49ers don't have more than 2 losses in the division. Not like I think that yeah, like I don't think they get more than 2. But then they play the Dolphins in Miami in December. And this game to me all depends on health. Because the Dolphins have horses on offense. I have really little to no faith in their defense. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have no faith in their defense at all. They Fangio is no longer there. Their defense, their players couldn't take his tough love type of style, and he has a very much old school style, and they just didn't like it. What that says to me is that the players are running the roost, and that never works out in the NFL, in my opinion. When you're letting the players dictate who your coaching staff is, and you're letting the players dictate who, like what type of game plan you're gonna lose. That doesn't work out well. And I just don't have a lot of faith in Tua. That's just myself. I think that if you can confuse Tua as the 49ers did the last time they played him. And Purdy kind of had his way with that defense. So the next game, the Lions in Santa Clara. I think this is going to be a big time seeding game. I think this is I want to say that this is, well, it's either a Monday or Thursday. I don't know because I don't have my calendar in front of me. But this is going to be a seeding game. So because I fully expect the Lions to be up there at the top of the conference with the 49ers. So this could very well be a seeding game. I think that both teams are going to be going all out in this one. This is one that I've got another one circled as a possible loss. Just because I think that the 49ers may be at a point in this one where they are trying to keep their guys healthy, getting ready for the playoff run. It wouldn't surprise me. And then they've got their last game against the Cardinals, which, depending on the record, could definitely be just a rest game for the vets, and could be a loss, could be a win as well, but could be a loss just because it just depends on what the 49ers record is at that point, and where they're trying to go, because I'm fully all in. I feel the 49ers have the roster, they have the coaching staff to make it to the playoffs and be atop the the NFC. I don't see another team that really I mean, Detroit maybe that could be in. I don't think the Eagles are ready. I think the Eagles kind of got exposed for what they are last season. The people think that Vic Fangio coming over is going to do something for that defense. You have to have the players. You have to have the players. And just because they drafted well does not mean that it's going to. You don't replace vets with rookies. That's never a plan for success. Ever. Ever. Ask Javon Kinlaw about that. And so, oh, no borders in the building. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Always a pleasure, Ryan. And oh, Red Jet in the building. Appreciate you coming through. Throwback in the building. Man, love it. All my 49er peeps in the house. Like I love the support. Appreciate you guys coming through. But happy Friday Eve. Absolutely. And so, like I said, I've got the 49ers going 12-5. I think going into I've said it many times during the show, I really look at this season as a transitional season. This could be the season that they do it all. Could be. I see at even if it isn't, this is a season that is going to, in my opinion, be a little bit changing of the guard in what we have traditionally known of the 49ers. That's the way this roster is kind of shaping up for me. This is kind of a last ride for some of these vets that we've come to know and love on this team, guys that have been just traditionally like guys that just are 49ers. I mean, the Juices, the Kittles, the Debos, there's just so many. This could be the last ride for some of these guys. So I want so badly for them to get a ring. But I think ring or not, ring or no ring, this could be a season of a complete changing of the guard. And so we've got I'm confident, but it really all comes down to Shanny, and we've talked about it before. We've talked about it before. He's got to grow. It can't just be the roster. It can't be just better players. It can't be just be more players. It just can't be just depth. He's got to grow with the players. And it can't take 20 years like it did for Andy Reid. It can't take that long. He's got to let it go. He's got to see what he's doing. He's got to see what he has in front of him and the opportunity. He's got to see the goal and throw his ego out the window and just get the win. Just get the win. So I it's gonna be a fun season regardless. It's gonna be a fun season regardless because it's 49er football. They're gonna score a ton of points this year. Whether Shanny whether Shanny changes up the way he does things or not, they're gonna score a ton of points. Where that part is gonna show up is when they get to the playoffs, when they get to those tough games, when they get to that Kansas City matchup. Like that's where it's gonna show up. And we're gonna know right away what Shanny is looking is what is Shanny taken from these L's that we've gotten going deep in the playoffs. That's how we're gonna find out. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I'm ready for the season already. And but I did want to. So that's the schedule. I know everybody thinks that a lot of people think that the league hates the 49ers. I mean, it sounded like on paper there's a lot of tough games in there. And I think the resurgence of the NFC West is they're coming. They're coming. So don't think that it's just going to be another sweep of the NFC West. Be prepared. I think that some of these teams are coming and they're not far away. But I wanted to talk about the and I know people are tired of talking about the draft, but I want to talk about my shadow draft that I did during the draft. And I posted it on Twitter when it like I don't think the day, but the day after. I think I posted it the day after. But every year I do a draft. I do a shadow draft. Big up to BD Peacock who gave me the idea to do this every year. Now I've been doing it every year since I started listening to Locked On, and it gives you great. It's just fun to look back and see. Now the first one I did was not so great. Was not so great. And on another show, I'll pull it up and tell you how who the guys I was picking at the time. But as the years have gone on, I feel like I've gotten a little bit better. And it's the and I completely forgot to save. Completely forgot to save it, but I wanted to talk. I can remember some of the picks, so I want to say this first with before I get into this, and because no, I'm just going to go into it. The first pick that I had for the 31 at number 31 was Kingsley Suamataia. That was my pick, not Ricky Pearsall. I wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan of the pick. at the time. I thought that it should have been, if they were going to go after him, you go after him in the second round. If he's not there, oh well. I didn't think he was that important of a player. Like, not that he wasn't on my radar, but I felt like I feel like this team has just neglected the offensive line for not just this season, not just last season, but the season before that. I've been calling for them to draft multiple tackles. So it's like for them to not draft an offensive tackle again was pretty egregious to me. But in the moment, and people are going to say, "Oh, well, he was still available in round 2." Okay, but I didn't know that. I didn't know he was going to be available in the second round. I'm making sure that I get a viable tackle that I think is going to be that I think is going to be good down the stretch, a possible replacement for Trent Williams down the road. And that's what I see as Suamataya. Now, my guy Beto, I love Beto to death. Niner Sickness, big up to Niner Sickness. Make sure you give my guy a follow. Make sure you give my guy a subscribe. Now, he said that Kingsley Suamataya is trash. Okay, well, that guy that's trash, the Kansas City traded up to get him. The champion Kansas City Chiefs traded up to get him in the second round. They leapfrogged the 49ers and went to get him. Or did they leapfrog? Oh, they gave up the 49ers gave up their pick and they took him. So then they take Suamataya. Guess who is in if you listen to their media, their side of the media, guess who is going to be they're planning on having play for the starting left tackle spot. The starting left tackle spot. They're saying that there's going to be a competition for their starting left tackle spot. For Suamataya is going to be competing with their current left tackle. I can't remember his name, but they thought enough of him that he's going to be competing for that spot. And they said if he doesn't make it for that, then there's a possibility they might just move him to right tackle. But at the very least, he's going to be. They think of him as the left tackle of the future. That's all I said for the 49ers. Except I put him on the right side and have him start there. So I like Suamatai. I think the 49ers are gonna live to regret that one. But Pearsall might be a very good player. But I feel like that was a chance for them to get a tackle. And that could be a tackle of the future. But my next player that I had, and man, I wish I would have saved that so I could remember. Maybe I can find it. Maybe I can find it. Yeah. They're not letting me. Oh, I have to go to here. I can't search. I don't think it's gonna let me find it. But I'm trying to remember who I had for the second round. And I can't remember. I'm gonna have to go over my shadow draft. I'm gonna have to have that on my next show. I wish I would have remembered to save it. I looked in my things and I was like, I can't believe I forgot to save it. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. I'm almost at an hour anyway. I'm gonna talk about Greenlaw's limp. Okay, he was at the Dwight Clark presentation, and he got that award at that banquet, and but he was limping up to the stage, and it was not a good. I know a lot of 49er fans were not happy seeing him limp up there. I don't think he's going to be ready anytime soon for the 49ers. I don't think we'll see him till probably week 5, week 4, 5. I know they'll see him probably before week 6, but I think that the youngsters are going to have to. Devondre Campbell, I think, is going to be a key piece, and they're going to have to get something out of Jalen Graham and D Winters. I think that they would like D Winters to be the one to step up. I love the way D Winters plays, by the way. I would love to see him step up into that role more than Devondre Campbell, but I wouldn't be shocked if they just moved Devondre Campbell just to have a vet in that position. But I think D Winters is gonna in the future could be that guy that eventually kind of replaces Greenlaw. Like he tends to get hurt a lot, but I was really upset about when I saw him limping up there because I was really hoping that he might miss one, like week 1, maybe week 2, but the way I saw him walking, he's not going to get no practice time. He Yeah, he's going to have to play his self into game shape, and it may not look good in the beginning. So and apparently it wasn't the same knee that he hurt. It was the other one. So I'm worried about his this affecting his athleticism. I'm going to be honest with you, but hopefully. And Terradome. Oh man, there was a bunch I missed. CG in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. And 49er faithful forever said we'll be facing KC undefeated. Yeah, probably, probably. And who knows? They might be undefeated too. I think that they drafted well as well. And yeah, and this is my point. Throwback. Like if Trent Williams retires, who do we have a plan? Is there a plan? Is the plan just to go and get another guy from another team? I'm not seeing why this team just neglects the offensive line. They talked about when they first came in to the team that Lynch and Shanny talked about getting it done in the trenches. Well, is that only for the defensive line? That's not for the offensive line? I feel like the offensive line is a part of that too. And if you want to run the ball, shouldn't you fortify the offensive line? You can get a lot more done with a really good offensive line than having a ton of weapons and nobody to protect your quarterback. Like I don't know why teams do it that the other way to where they just load up on weapons and think that that's just going to be it'll be good enough because they've got tons of weapons. Well, if their offensive line stinks, they're not going to have any time to throw the ball. They're not going to have anybody to open up holes for the running game. And that's why we've seen other teams have tons of weapons, Atlanta, that can't do anything with it because they're missing pieces up front. They're missing pieces at the most important spots. And so yeah, I'm not a fan. I just really want this offensive line to get in there. Uh, and he also says Andy Reid trusts rookie players. It's not even that he trusts them. He's willing to throw them in there and let them make mistakes. But why does he do that, throwback? He does that because he's got Pat Mahomes, and who is a guy that can make a lot of wrongs turn right. And even if those guys make mistakes, Pat Mahomes ain't gonna make a lot of them. And Pat Mahomes is gonna make plays that negate mistakes. So it's just it's a little bit different. And we're hoping that's the type of player that Brock Purdy turns into, to where he can make those wrongs into rights. And if that's the case, maybe we might see. Maybe that might change Shanahan's mind around getting some of the younger bloods in there. But we'll see. And Rosengarten was who CG wanted, but at 31, at 31, like I don't think you could put. Uh, I don't think that you could take Rosengarten at 31. I don't think he is a guy that has enough upside to justify taking him in the first, even though that's kind of a second round. Like if he was around in that second round, I'm all about it in that second round spot. But they sat there and let the other team take him. Who was it? Baltimore. They sat there and let it happen. And and when I say let it happen, they I think that they did try to trade up because all the news we were getting at the time was that they were trying to trade up to try and go get try and go get a guy, and it was probably Rosengarten, but they just nobody would trade with them. You have to have two. There has to be two there to tango. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm not really sure of who Garrett Greenfield is. You're gonna have to enlighten me on who he is. And I do a lot of draft research, but I haven't heard Garrett Greenfield. And Terradome says any lineman that can make our 25th ranked O line better was a step in the right direction of improving. And this is the thing: if they take Kingsley or Rosengarten, who's to say that that immediately makes your offensive line better? But I'll tell you this: it gives you talent that you don't have. It gives you physical talent on the roster that you don't have currently. You don't have a lot of athleticism. You have a lot of doorstops and you have a lot of bodies, but you don't have a lot of physically talented guys. You got Trent Williams and I mean Aaron Banks. Who else do you have that's really physically talented? John Feliciano is an overachiever. Brendel, overachiever. The McKivitz shouldn't be there. Jalen Moore shouldn't be on the team. Ben Barch shouldn't be on the team. There's a lot of offensive linemen that shouldn't even be on the team. Zakel should not be on the team. And I think for a lot of teams, they would not be on teams. If the 49ers released them, they would not get signed to other teams. Feliciano probably would. Feliciano would because he's an overachiever, in my opinion. But they don't have a lot of physical upside type talent. And that's my point is get some physical talent on your squad so that you can put a plan together like you did for Aaron Banks and get them ready for that next season when who knows what's going to happen with Trent Williams. Yeah, and I think he's talking about Greenlaw, and I there might have been, but I'll be honest. I just think I get the vibe that he's not going to be back soon. That's just the vibe I get. Yeah, they had better not roll Jalen Moore out there. We've seen what that looks like. He's terrible. He's terrible. We have got more terrible offensive linemen that we know are terrible on this squad that are going to be on for a third season of them being terrible. And Shanny keeps making excuses for guys. We've seen it. I just don't know how you can keep lying to our face and trying to tell us that these guys are good or talented, like he tried to say about Jalen Moore. He's not talented. Talented would be him showing flashes like when he just got there. He's never shown flashes of being great, of being good, of even being good. He's had a few reps where he looked serviceable. But there's a big difference between serviceable and being talented. Jalen Moore is not talented. Um, I think somebody needs to remind Shanny of what that word means. But yeah, tell him throwback. Tell him. And Pterodome says, with enough time, Brock can make Napoleon Dynamite look like. I mean, that's that. This is my thing. There are so many. Like Jared, they just paid Jared Goff millions. Why do you think that is? And what do they have? What did Detroit do for Jared Goff? I'll wait. They gave that man an offensive line. They invested in that offensive line in multiple seasons, and to the point to where the 49ers could barely even get close to him in the playoffs. Like, I mean, he had all the time in the world. And he parlayed that offensive line into a contract. Do they have talent at the offensive weapon positions? Yes, they do. At the same time, it's because Goff had tons of time to throw the ball. Does Brock Purdy have that same amount of time? No. If you gave Brock Purdy that amount of time to find people, he's going to carve you up. He's going to carve you up. And I don't know why that's not a priority. And it might sound like complaining. I'm not really complaining because I know the 49ers are going to score points. I know that the 49ers are going, and they're going to do it in the regular season, which people are going to sit there and say, see, there was no reason to worry. Shanny and Lynch know what they're doing. Scoring a bunch of points in the regular season doesn't mean, I hate to say this, but it doesn't mean as much as you think it does. What was the one thing that they said about Kansas City all season long? They were talking about Kansas City's offense. Where is it? Where is it? They were barely squeaking by and barely winning games. Their defense was really winning a lot of games for them. And Pat Mahomes was doing just enough to get the wins. It's not about, and the 49ers were blowing teams' doors off. Okay, but in the playoffs, what does that turn into? A team that is used to barely squeaking out games is a team that is going to be there at the end. Now, you could say that the 49ers were that in 2019, but at the same time, they still had Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. They did not have a quarterback like Mahomes. So I think Brock could get it done if given the opportunity, but we won't know. We won't know because Shanny has to give him those reins. But I think if you give Brock enough time, he's going to carve you up. That's my personal opinion on it. Let me see. Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Throwback. I agree. Cowboys, Rams, and Bengals. The Cowboys they stay with offensive linemen. Now, they're not always good, but they stay drafting them. They stay bringing them in. Bengals keep trying. They don't always get good offensive line, but they keep trying to bring people. They get more out of less out of their offensive line than, I mean, honestly, the 49ers couldn't do a ton with the defensive line, couldn't really do a ton with them, and they didn't have a good offensive line. And but the 49ers still couldn't get to them, and they figured out a way to make it work. But and not that, like I said, not that Shanahan's not going to find a way to make it work. He's going to make it work during the regular season, but it's when you get into the playoffs that it becomes an issue. So before we get out of here, I'm going to give throwbacks one more. Kyle and Lynch are being too nice to players. I wouldn't be a coach like that when it comes to moving on, whether you're good or bad. I agree to a point. I think that there's something to be said for camaraderie. I think there's something to be said for the coach showing faith and trust, and the locker room is a very delicate thing. A team and a roster is there's a very delicate balance there where you have to balance a little bit of favoritism, There's got to be a little bit of trust. Like you've got to have trust in the right guys. You've got to know when to mix in those guys that might might be a little bit better than the guys that you've got as starters right now, without losing the rest of the locker room. It's a delicate balance, and I think people kind of underestimate that part of it. I think that a lot of people talk about the Cabo boys and all that other stuff. Well, you know what? Those guys are all leaders in that locker room, and they're all high performers. I mean, you can get mad about it, but I mean, they're doing their jobs. Now, with that being said, I think it comes down to I think they should be trusted a little bit more. I think Shanahan doesn't trust him enough, but I'd like to see him give them some regular, just let them overpower the other team and just be the better player that day. That's what I'd like to see. But with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. It's an hour and 15 minutes in. I appreciate everybody coming in. I can 100% guarantee, 100% guarantee that my next show next Thursday, I am going to have my shadow draft ready, and we are going to go over that. Even though it's another week later, we are going to go over that. But I appreciate you guys rocking with me today. Make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notification. And I sent something out on Twitter. What was it? Yesterday? I think it was yesterday. That I want to say one more time, because it was weighing on my mind that morning. I woke up, and I don't know why it was really weighing on my mind. I just woke up thinking about it. I got on Twitter and looking at, going down the timeline, seeing a bunch of my people, like fellow content creators, saying this, that, and third. I love the 49ers content creator family. I would love to say that I feel like some of us have grown apart a little bit. We're not as close as some of us. Some of us are not as close as we used to be, but for the most part, I love all of you guys, and you guys have been. It has been a great time being a 49er content creator. I love doing what I do. Do I have thousands of followers? No, no, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we love this team. We love talking about our team. We love getting our thoughts out there, and you get a chance to meet great people along the way. And everybody that I've had on my show at one time or another, with the exception of Jack Hammer, uh, is has been I love your content. I just want to tell you that. I love your content. I respect everything that you do, and that goes. I'm not going to start naming all the names because I've over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of people on my show, and I've been on a lot of other people's shows. But I want to tell you guys all that I love doing content with all of you, and it's just a great time. It's a great time, and all the different voices and all the different uh, personalities and all the different takes. That's what makes the content. Is it's beautiful. Is it because everybody has a different perspective? So I love it. I just want to tell you guys that you guys are all great, and including my chat, everybody in my chat, like love all y'all, and yeah, just make sure that you tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends every day, every week. Any content creator out there that wants to come on the show is welcome. Welcome. Like I love it. So bring it. Just have good takes and don't suck, as Romy would say. But I'm gonna get out of here. I love you guys, and right back at you, Terradome. Appreciate you. And but I will be back next Tuesday. Me and Beto and Brandon on our show, and then I'll have my own show on Thursday. It's gonna be either Thursday or Friday. The work schedule's been crazy lately. But we will be on, and I will have that chat. I'm gonna save that shadow draft the minute I get off the show, so that I can make sure it's ready for next week. But this was a good one. I really enjoyed this one today. Love the chat was getting crazy in there, And you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your time with your families. Enjoy your time with your people. And go look at a bunch of 49ers content creator stuff. Just go out and see all the different flavors we got. Like they're all awesome in their own ways. And yeah, appreciate you guys. But until next time, I will see you guys, and always go Niners.